ever been in a situation that you wanted to take your dream vacation, but you had no one to go with you? How do you take a successful solo trip? In this video, I will show you all of the tips and tricks as to how to plan your vacation, how to stay safe, and also how to have one of the best times of your life. So if you're interested in that, keep watching and please like, comment, subscribe if you like the content. Now let's get into it. So for me, my situation was I wanted to take a trip and none of my friends were able to go with me. They're all married, they have children, and I was the friend who wasn't married and didn't have kids, but really, really wanted to go on a trip. And I didn't want to be in the US for my birthday because my birthday is when it is cold. And so I wanted to do something fun and I wanted to do something exciting, and everybody couldn't go. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this trip by myself because I'm not going to let anyone stop me. So the first step to going on a solo trip, you have to have the confidence that you're going to do this for yourself no matter what. No matter what, and don't let anyone talk you out of it. So, that is the first step to going on a very successful solo trip. The second step is finding the place. Now, as a woman, I want to travel safe and smart. So there's certain countries that I was like, I'm not going to travel to because I'm not sure how safe it is for me to travel alone. So there's particular countries that are safer than others. And so out of those different countries, I was like, okay, which ones do I have a choice to travel from? So I chose between Iceland and Aruba because those are very, very safe places to go. And because of the time of year, I was like, I want to go someplace warm. So Aruba ended up being my choice. So I chose Aruba because it was in the Caribbean and it's known to be safe, particularly for women traveling alone. This is not a sexist comment at all, but as a woman, it could be scary to travel alone because if something happens to you, sometimes you're like a walking target, people see you alone. So it could be scary to think of how that's going to work. So I was very happy when I was like, all right, I've done my research. Aruba's a pretty safe island, so we're going to go there. Tip number 3, I would recommend doing an all inclusive. Now, why do I recommend that? I recommend doing an all inclusive because you are traveling alone. And if you are afraid of traveling alone, you don't want to stay in an Airbnb all by yourself and you're having to reroute the whole place alone because that could also open you up to some risk. So, I recommend staying at an all inclusive, and I recommend staying at an all inclusive that is associated with a US chain like a Marriott or a Hyatt. Make sure that you're staying at an all inclusive. The reason why I say that is because a lot of times all inclusive has activities, they have restaurants, they have shuttles, they have transportations that are all sponsored by the hotel. So you could kind of check it off that it's pretty safe and it's extremely convenient. You're not going to have to really figure out like transportation once you're there. Like you could experience the resort and you could experience the amenities and still feel like you went on a full vacation. Number 4, I would not stay for longer than a week. Now, I know this sounds weird, but sometimes you could run out of activities to do alone and you don't want to start feeling lonely on your solo trip. So, I would recommend you go somewhere that you could comfortably stay for like 4 days. And I'm sorry, guys, I had notifications coming in, but somewhere that you can comfortably stay for 4 days and be happy and content. And one of the things that I want you to do before you go on this solo trip is make sure that you're paying attention to your own patterns. Like, how long can you be alone before you get extremely lonely? You don't want this to turn into like you associating this place with like depression or like a spiral moment. So you do want to make sure that you are mentally in a good place before you go on this adventure. So the next tip that I will give you is make a plan before you go on this trip. Make a plan before you go on this trip. I cannot stress how important it is to make a plan before you go on a solo trip. You cannot go on a solo trip with no plan. You cannot wing it. Okay. You are not with all your friends. You cannot do that. You need to make a plan. And what I mean by making a plan is figure out where you want to go, even if it's in the resort, and have a major activity every day that you do. The reason why I say that, because it gives you something to look forward to. So, the three major activities that I would say you should have to do is something that encourages mindfulness. So, something like meditating, something like walking on the beach, if they have one, that was mine. Or even if it's working out in the morning, something that encourages mindfulness. The second thing that you want to do is something that is fun. Something that is fun that you love to do. It could be something that you've never done, but something that is fun and something that is fun to do alone. The third is self care. Every day you should plan a regimented self care for yourself, whether that's you're going to a spa, whether that's you're getting your toes done, whether that's you're getting a massage, whatever it is, make sure that you plan that self-care into the day, because that kind of helps break up your day in a really nice way. And also, I would say, go to sleep on time. There's literally no reason for you to stay awake super late unless you're going to something super late. So you definitely don't want to be in your room like watching TV. Go to sleep on time. Use this as a reset so that when you get back, you feel rejuvenated. Then, when I say make a plan, make sure those plans have time stamps. Make sure that you give yourself an agenda of things to do. The other part that I will say is make sure that if you're going on tours or anything like that, that it's reputable companies. My favorite company to use for tours is Viator. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I've had very good experiences with Viator, and it's usually pretty reputable and safe. The other thing I love about Viator is if you need to get a shuttle back to your hotel for like going and coming to the airport, you can use Viator for that. And if you have to do so alone, and you are feeling apprehensive, they also have options in which you can travel with a group if you want to travel with that group to and from the airport. So that works really well. So, the other and last final piece of advice that I will give for a solo trip is take lots and lots and lots of pictures, videos, and content. I say this because you're going to be by yourself. And sometimes it's difficult to actually capture the moment when you're on vacation. Rely on people next to you. Have somebody take a picture of you. Don't be afraid to have someone take a picture of you. That is so important because you want to remember this memory. And so for me, I took a trip to Aruba. And I talk about this trip all the time because it was life changing. Because it was my first solo trip, it was my first international solo trip. And I planned it all by myself. I went by myself and I went on my birthday. And some people might think it's weird to take a solo trip on your birthday, but I did it because that was something I personally wanted to do. And I didn't want anyone making me feel bad about spending the money or the time that I wanted to spend there. I had the time of my life. A lot of people who were there were actually celebrating their birthdays too. And what ended up happening is me and like a group of maybe like 10 people, we all ended up celebrating our birthdays on different days. It was so fun. Like it was a blast. We had the time of our lives. We took tons of pictures of each other, and we were all going on the solo trip for the same reason. It was just amazing. It was just such an experience. And because I had such a good time, and I'm sorry guys, it's raining, so you're gonna hear thunder and lightning and all types of crazy stuff in the background. Because I had such a good time, I just wanted to share with everyone, like going on a solo trip is probably one of the best experiences that you will ever have in your life. There is no better company than yourself. And it really teaches you something about self love. When you go on a solo trip, you have to love yourself through it because the truth is, you will not have fun if you don't like yourself. If you don't like yourself, you're not going to want to be around yourself. And so it's going to become very difficult to take a trip alone. And so solo trips only work when you like you. Solo trips only work when you've done the self work to make sure that you can do that without feeling sad, lonely, or depressed. And so I think taking a solo trip for me was like one of the biggest gifts to myself in telling myself that, like, I love you. I love you so much that I am going to block out the whole world and I'm going to go somewhere just with you to spend time with you. It is the biggest act of self love that you could do. And it is such a beautiful entry into the soft life. So that's it. How to take a solo trip. If you guys like this, please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. I will leave links down below as to like where I stayed in Aruba. It was a beautiful hotel, so I will leave it down there. I will also leave information about Viator if you need it. Again, none of these places are sponsoring me, so I'm literally giving you this advice because it's good advice. And hopefully, I'll see y'all again. Talk to you soon. Bye.